So today I'm going to have a guest on the podcast and we're going to be talking about longevity. And this episode is really great if you need some motivation because when we get to this deeper why of why we want to be healthy or lose weight, that helps us to maintain and sustain what we're doing. We're going to be diving into stress, sleep, movement, and exercise. And before we get started today, I just want to let you guys know about my flash sale. I'm celebrating 100 podcast episodes. This has been such a blessing to me, and this podcast has reached way more people than I even imagined. So I'm just so grateful for you guys. So what I'm doing through April 5th, if you set up a free call, you're going to save 30% for 3 months. So you can not only get started, but you can continue. This is going to account for my health coaching, my personal training, and also my Healthy Inside and Out course. All you have to do is set up a free call with me. There's going to be a link down below. And then when it says, how'd you hear about Michelle? Just put 100th episode sale. And we're just going to talk because a lot of times we are stuck and we just need that extra support and accountability to start moving forward. And just keep in mind that you are never too much. Your life is never too much of a mess to start. That is all about what getting support and accountability is about. So I would love to chat with you and hear more about you. So if you're really ready to start getting healthier and you're tired of being stuck and doing the same thing over again on the hamster wheel, set up a call with me and let's figure out what those next steps are to get you living this healthy, sustainable lifestyle. Today, I have Casey here on the podcast. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, Michelle, thanks for having me on. So yeah, my name is Casey Curo. I am a women's personal trainer, nutrition coach, and I basically emphasize working with women for the strength training is my biggest foundation of my coaching.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so today we're going to talk about longevity. So tell me, what does longevity mean to you?
I think this is a great question. So for me, longevity, I believe, has to do with being able to live life to its ultimate best as you age, right? And so I feel like we want to continue to be able to continue to do activities that we love and enjoy with ease. I think that's the best way to put it. And that's something that I push and promote all the time with my training and clients.
And I love that because I think it's so great. Even if people need to lose weight, when we can sort of take the prize and our eyes off of the weight loss and focus more on that longevity and health, the weight loss comes along and it really feels so much better.
Yes, 100%. I mean, I was just on a conversation with somebody today about it. And because obviously most people come in saying, hey, I want to lose weight. That's usually like the first conversation that I have with people. And great, that's fantastic. Obviously, if we lose weight, when I say in quotations, that will get us somewhere. But at the end of the day, there's a lot more that goes into it than just weight loss. And I think when I start to explain it to women is this is a lifelong habit that I want you to start adapting. So health should be more of a habit, not here's a exercise nutrition plan, right? Anybody could search or get an exercise nutrition plan and lose weight, quote unquote. But at the end of the day, it's how can we apply this so that it's beyond that? Yes, we'll start to lose weight as a side effect. I heard a nutritionist say that once, but how can we create this as long-term habits versus, like I said, weight loss nutrition plan?
And it's really instead of just holding weight loss and that number on the scale on a pedestal, shifting that focus to health and longevity really changes how you go through the process. And it actually makes it more sustainable because really a lot of times when you reach a certain weight, it's so what? A lot of times you don't sometimes you don't like that thing that you think is going to make you better when you get to a certain weight. It doesn't.
Correct.
People who are 110 pounds, they have things they don't like about them too. And it's they're at the perfect weight or underweight or whatever it is. So we have to really shift this focus to longevity and to long-term health. And right now, two of my grandparents are not doing well. But it goes back to this idea. And as I see them, they're rounding on the end of life. And it's man, I just really want to be as healthy as long as I can and really prevent some of these chronic diseases by not eating much sugar and really living and moving as healthy as I can.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a side note in a way, but there's a program that's offered in the town that I'm in, and I had a guy come and talked about it in our group. It's for adults that are looking for. It's basically longevity, moving activities. They do like a community base. It's definitely offered older adults, and he said the objective really of the program is so that they live like he's like we should be living very well into our 90s, unassisted, moving well, doing the thing day-to-day activities with ease. But we have this idea that when somebody's in their 80s and they're doing well, like that's like like that's not normal as a today's society. And he said he's like I'm trying to shift the narrative that we should be this is normal. Our bodies have the capability to live long term, live into the 90s. He even said hundreds, but it was a really neat. And so basically they have a waiting list, like 200 people are max. And he said they still have like a long-term waiting list to get into this program.
Yeah, I love that. Almost like shifting our perception of what it looks like to live in our 80s and
Yes.
90s.
Yes.
And really, our medical care is so good. People used to die from infections or the flu and these other things. And we have that acute medical care that we can get now, but our diet and our inflammation and everything is so bad that we're beating our bodies up for decades and decades, and we don't have that health as we get older to be able to feel our best to keep our mind strong as
Correct.
we're getting older.
Yeah, so for me, like I like to utilize myself as like a guinea pig. I want to keep figuring out how can I keep moving well as I continue to age. To me, that's the most important
Mhm.
part. And that's as I kind of figured out why I push and promote strength training, especially with women, because we start to lose muscle mass in our 30s, because it's kind of the foundation of moving well. And I want to because I've always heard the terms once you hit 40, it's downhill. That I hear it all the time. I think some people don't say 30s. Have you heard that before?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like your perception. That's like not true at all. Like,
No.
it doesn't have to be. Yeah.
And I feel like I feel better even and when I say better, like I feel like I'm in better like shape, health, understanding of wellness better now than I was in my 20s. And so as I feel like I keep learning and kind of growing as a coach and just as myself, I hope that my 40s feels even better than my 30s. Like I'm really curious. And then like when I get to my 50s, like I really want to like challenge the narrative of as we age, it gets worse.
Yeah, I love that, to challenge the narrative. That goes with like so many things in our life. Because if we don't think something is possible, if we don't think our 40s or 50s to be healthy and move well is possible, then guess what actions we're going to be taking? We're not going to be taking actions to make that possible. And really into your 40s, 50s. I mean, once you hit your 60s, sometimes that's a little bit harder to put on muscle mass. You
Yes.
absolutely still can. And you should absolutely be strength training
Yep.
60s, 70s, 80s, like keep it going. But yeah, we have to really come back to this place of what can I do in my movement? So I want to make sure I'm moving. I want to make sure I'm strength training. I like doing yoga. I have just picked up playing pickleball because it's fun and
Yes.
it works
Yes.
that eye hand coordination. So, really thinking how we can be moving our bodies in a way so that when we are in our 80s and 90s, we can still move and feel good.
Correct. That's 100%. And the motto that I've also started to push a lot is like less is more. And because obviously, I think a lot of women, technically in their, I would say 30s, 40s, and 50s, it's all about incorporating, as much as they possibly can move their body. I feel like that's a very common theme because that's what's been told. That's what society tells people is you exercise more, you'll lose weight. Obviously weight loss still ends up being like kind of the driving factor behind a lot of it. But in reality, like most of us women are beating ourselves up by doing that. And so I think when women actually slow down the process of exercise, like less, trust me, is way more. I used to work out 5, 6 days a week. I now like lift 2 to 3 days a week, and the rest of the day, like kind of, I incorporate movements throughout my
Mhm.
week that just feel good. That's all I do.
Yeah, yeah, and I like to differentiate movement and exercise. So movement to me and my audience is gonna be like steps, walking, so
Yes.
not quite that exercise. So we actually want a lot of movement because we become a
Yeah.
sedentary society. That doesn't mean we have to do 10,000 steps, but we need to like move our bodies because here I am working on the computer right now and that is what I do all day. So I have to be intentional about getting up and moving or going for walks, or that's why I like playing pickleball, and
Yeah.
then exercise, that strength training, that cardio. We really only want a little bit of that.
Ding. No, that I define it the exact same way, but I think just like I said, our bodies have to keep moving. And I've noticed this, like I've got a client that's in her mid 60s, and this woman has seen phenomenal progress. She really strength trains with me twice a week. But I told her, she's like, Casey, I can't believe how much progress I'm seeing. And I'm like, you also understand, I'm like, the stuff you're doing outside of me is paying off. This woman, I'm not kidding, is fixing an old house. And I'm like, you were moving nonstop outside of me. I said, so this is stacking on without, with only seeing me twice a week. And to me, she's been really fun to watch.
Yeah, that's so fun.
Yeah.
And so also when we're talking longevity, what are your thoughts on like sort of mental emotional health? So thinking in the realm of stress, sleep, relationships,
Yes.
fun, when it comes to longevity. So what jumps out at you there?
Boom. Honestly, stress and sleep goes in that one in too. Stress and sleep, I think, are two like lifestyle habits that can really make or break this. Honestly, there's a person I've been having a conversation with for a while and works out all the time, really watches her nutrition. She's actually gaining weight. And I'm not even her coach. I'm just kind of her helper for what we used to be coworkers, etc. So, but I have just been honing in her about the stress. Her stress levels are out, like just from our brief conversations. And it just shows like what stress can do to your body. Even
Mhm.
if you're moving, even if you're eating nutritious foods, it could put so much effect, or so much negative effects onto our bodies. Like I said, I feel like stress and sleep kind of I mean, it all goes hand in hand, but like those two talk to each other, I think, the most. So if we're stressed, we're not sleeping well. If we're not sleeping well, we're stressed. So like it's one of them's got to be kind of like the foundation of which one should we quote unquote start working on best or first, I should say.
Yeah, and I think with women, a lot of our lives we've lived for everyone else. And then as we get older, we realize that we're not taking care of ourselves. We're putting ourselves on the back burner. And how can I do this? Because we want to eat healthy and exercise too. But I think if we're overlooking our stress and our emotional health, we're not really going to get our body to a healthy state. And of course, we're going to have stress. Of course, we're going to have nights where we don't sleep well. But how can we start to shift that? And just like you said, with stress, it can make you hold on to weight. Stress
Mhm.
changes the way your hormones work, which then can impact you holding on to or losing weight. Some people will lose weight when they're super stressed. Some people are the opposite. And sleep and stress go in that negative cycle. So I think it's really important as people are aging to make sure that they have tools to really handle stress, to lower anxiety in their life, because especially as you're getting into that perimenopause, menopause, and hormones are
Mhm.
fluctuating, like anxiety can go up, these other things can rise. And if we don't have tools to work with that, it can get really strong.
Yeah, and I think stress is one of the hardest things. I feel like this becomes probably the most complicated of it all. And then you're like, oh, just relax or just meditate or just journal. Like those things don't always work for people, and I think stress becomes that becomes probably one of the most long-term habits to shift out of probably all of them because you have to try, I think, so many different de-stressing options that can help you. Obviously, you can even go even deeper and see a therapist and, et cetera. All those things that go into helping depending on what your stress levels are.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I've actually seen in one of my clients, she's doing my personal training app and my health coaching, and she's been doing yoga, and then I have like 2-minute breathing and meditation tracks. And she actually wanted
That's
to do a
awesome.
calming nighttime one. But really, just within a couple weeks, like her life is very stressful right now. There's a lot of things, but her stress has actually come down, and I could just see it in her face talking to her. But like you were saying, everyone sort of has to figure out what's that thing that's going to help me de-stress. I mean, I love yoga, like deep breathing is huge. Like if you can do
Hmm.
some quick meditations, those help a lot of people. I'm also working on getting certified in EFT or tapping, because life is stressful, and we want
Hmm.
these different tools to be able to use to bring down our emotions, because when we are stressed in our life, then we're typically not going to make as good decisions when it comes to our nutrition and
Correct.
our exercise.
And one last thought on that is I also think jobs can play another significant role, and that's also really hard to change. You can't just say, "Hey, so and so, quit your job." Like I will be honest. I actually had one client do it. I was shocked. She's like, "Casey, I quit my job." She's like, "It was terrible." And she was like, it was just a very toxic work environment. She needed to get out. Somehow she figured it out, and she became like that. That was it. It was her job. Now, once again, most people can't just quit however she was able to figure it out, she did. But I feel like that's another big obstacle to that can be challenging.
Absolutely. And I think, people sometimes pour more into their job than they
Mm,
need to.
mhm.
Actually working with one of my clients this week, and she's like, "Yeah, I finally realized," like, she's been working corporate, and she's like, "This last job, I realized, like, I'm not really gonna stay late. Like, all this, like, doesn't really matter. I'm gonna do a good job while I'm here." But really having those, like, boundaries around it, because it's easy to get sucked into different things, and then it pulls you away from taking care of your health.
Yes, exactly. The other thing when you were talking about with like women pouring their cups into other things. I think this is for women is like it's such ingrained into us. Like I think it's a part of like our makeup. Obviously, part of it is just if we are a mom or even we're not mothers, like it's just part of I think the female identity is that we are caretakers of whatever form that looks like between jobs, between family,
Mhm.
between friends, etc. And certain women, that's coming from personality, they have a tendency to pour more of their cups into all the other things. I will say it's probably the number one conversation I'll have with clients is when was the last time you took care of you? And they don't know when that answer was.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to first fill our cup, and that sounds cliche, but it's
That's
really
right.
like,
Yeah.
let's think of some small things that I can start doing for myself. And we always have to start small because otherwise it's way too overwhelming. And I also think it helps to have people almost like take a step back, pretend like you're not in your body and you're looking at someone else and what they're doing. And you typically
Yeah.
don't like what you see. You're like, yeah, I'm not. And then sort of breaking down those reasons, like what's going on and what can you actually do and how can you live your life so you are feeling better and taking care of yourself, because no one else is going to take care of you. They are going to take from you. You're the one who has to lead yourself in being able to take care of you.
Definitely. I mean, there's so many factors. I feel like I said, obviously, I feel like we've touched a lot of different like points as
Yeah.
to stress, sleep, exercise, etc., movement, and whatnot. But we can really start to just find like chip away at little things. Like start with one, then it adds to another. Like what are that's to me, I think is important for anybody is what can you do that is easiest to help you start making change, and it's got to be an easy change, because if
Hmm.
it's too challenging, too big, looks too big of an obstacle, then you're not going to change, you're not going to want to. Of course, even if you don't feel good, it's hard to change. It's the first little thing that you can do that makes it
Yeah.
so easy you can't fail. That's the thing I've always heard about with like habit shifts.
Yeah, absolutely. And so to wrap this conversation up, Casey, I'm going to put you on the spot here. So, and I want everyone else to think about this for themselves too. So, if you can imagine yourself in your 80s, tell us some things that you would be doing because you have taken care of yourself.
I love that. That's a good question. I mean, okay, I feel like I would still probably be doing some because I just enjoy strength training. Like to me
Hmm.
now, it's just a hobby in a way. Still incorporating that somehow. I used to work at some YMCA's and I would see people in their 80s and I'm like, I want to be them. So
Yeah.
like I would probably I think it'd be better if I was in a gym setting. Right now I work out at home, but like for the social settings, because I see a lot of those individuals in the social setting with the Y. So, I mean, YMCA's are a great community center as well. I still want to be able to like hike.
Hmm.
And when I say hike, I'm not talking about like mountains or anything. I just want to be able to still continue to go outdoors. And to me, I feel like that would be the most like the social component. Like I said, still moving, some resistance training, whatever that looks like at that time. And I still want to just be able to walk and move and like get up and down from the toilet. I've heard a client say that, and I was like, that's a great motto. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And even for my physical therapy background, getting up and down off the floor, like that's huge if you can't
yes.
do that.
I
Mm.
know. I just actually shared a video yesterday. It was from somebody else, but on my Instagram account, and it was 80-year-old woman doing floor gymnastics. Now, once again, that's an extreme, but like it's true. Like to me, it's really true. Like as long as you continue to provide those movements into your day to day activities, so getting up and down off the floor, like I have to keep doing that. I can't stop because once you stop, that's when it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say my vision for myself is similar to yours. Like to be able to hike, still ride a bike, do the strength training for
Yes.
me to do yoga, and like also to really like play with my grandkids or great grandkids. I don't know who's going to be there, but to be able to like really be active with inside the family and whoever is around, not having to like sit or
Yes.
not really be fully present.
Yes. I love
Yeah.
that.
Well,
You're going to make me ponder that one a little bit more. I'm going to dig deeper into that one.
yeah. So for you guys listening, really take some time. You can write this down. You can imagine it. I'm a vision person, so I like to imagine things in my mind, what that would look like and feel like, because this is where your motivation comes from. So this is what's going to motivate you more than dropping to a certain size in your pants or a certain number on the scale is I want to be this and I need to keep working towards this.
Perfect.
So Casey, tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, so on Instagram, you can find me at casey.curo. I'm also on Facebook, and I also do have a website. It's caseycuro.com. So,
Yeah, and I'll
yeah,
have those links in the description so you guys can connect with Casey. All right,
perfect.
everyone. I hope you guys have a great day and keep moving.
Thanks, Michelle.
Hey, friends. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure that you hit subscribe and ask any questions down below.